Promote, protect, and improve. 3 key words for this morning's guest. Who is he? You'll meet him coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Fox 43 studio. We're focused on the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce, and we're visiting with its president and CEO, Brad Dean. Good morning, Brad.
Good to be here again.
Thanks for coming back in. Yesterday morning was a treat to highlight National Tourism Week and the thank you for visiting aspect that y'all are reaching out to so many folks. And, of course, today being the kickoff, Lisa Boursier was with us on Wednesday, highlighting the 10 days of permitting covered. The 10 days start today, so a lot going on in the area.
Well, Lisa and the county, as well as the local cities, do a wonderful job. May is an event of months, or a month of events, excuse me, and they do a wonderful job at handling that with all the visitor influx and the increased services that's required. They do it, and they make it look really easy.
They really do, Brad. It's incredible. You know, Mark Crew was with us last month, and he began to talk a little bit about what it was going to be like when May hit us. And, of course, today's the day when so much kicks off, and then the Atlantic Beach Bike Fest, which will kick off, obviously, towards the end of the month. The excitement for the area, as well as just so many thoughts of so many folks visiting the area, really changes.
Yeah, it really does. And the police force, the 9/11 dispatchers, the fire, just the general administrative support, they do a wonderful job. I had the opportunity to be at their hurricane training conference a few weeks ago, and it was interesting to see how good our county and city personnel are at preparing for emergencies. We wish they wouldn't get quite as much practice as they do, but they certainly are very skilled at that as well. So we're very fortunate to have the public servants we have in this area.
Speaking about preparing for emergencies, Brad, it ties into your lapel pin there, the I-73 component. A heck of a lot of folks think about emergencies, hurricanes possibly coming to the area, and how the heck we're going to get 500,000 or 250,000 folks out of the area at any individual time.
Yeah. We are very skilled at planning ahead, but you know as well as I do that if a large hurricane takes a quick turn and comes here, we're not prepared to get people out, and certainly we don't want to see any loss of life due to that. That's one of the reasons why I-73 is so important. It will help tourism grow, it will bring additional jobs, but it's particularly important for those of us who want to leave the area in the event of a hurricane. And we think that I-73 could save lives. We're hoping to get it built sooner rather than later to prevent that in the case of a big hurricane.
The area is still incredibly ready, not to give the idea that no one in the area is ready. Folks are ready to get out. There's a heck of a lot of emergency routes. There's a lot of ways out. It would just make it that much more simple to get out.
Certainly would. And you know, in our case, we know ahead of time where the storms are going in most cases, so we're very well prepared. What's particularly difficult is when those storms take a turn that no one expects. And you're talking with an interstate, the travel out of the area could be cut 60, 70, 80%. So Interstate 73 is going to be important for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is we need an evacuation route out of the area in the event that we did get a hurricane that we couldn't prepare for.
Transportation is very high up on the legislative agenda for the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce right now. What are some of the other aspects? And, of course, when we think about from Myrtle Beach to Maine, or from Myrtle Beach to Michigan, excuse me, there's a heck of a lot, and I can't pronounce the town there, Saint Marie, Saint Marie. I mean, there's a heck of a lot in transportation issues pressing.
Well, it certainly is. The interstate, which of course would start here, the way we think of it, and end up in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, runs through 6 states altogether, and that would eventually connect with other interstates that go into Illinois, Iowa, Indiana. We're the only major vacation destination not served by an interstate. So that need is critical, and it's very evident. But there's a lot of other needs as well, the expansion of the airport and just the local roads. The roads to get in and around the Grand Strand are critical as well. I think we're addressing the needs that have probably been there for 5, 10, 15 years. We're just trying to play catch up. But transportation is a top issue for us simply because all of the other things we try to do, promoting tourism, attracting new jobs, enabling people to relocate here, all of that is only going to be possible if we can get the infrastructure we need, and roads and airports are critical in that effort.
Speaking of airports, I was going to ask you about the visitor center at the airport and how that's doing. I think you all kicked off a new push for the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber into the airport maybe last year, but also there's some exciting news on airports here in the area.
There certainly is. We felt like that was an important need. The business community really wanted the Chamber involved. There's some great volunteers at the airport that do a wonderful job, and it gives the Chamber a chance to add on to what they're already doing and market the area, particularly when you think of so many people coming through the airport that have never been here. So those first-time visitors often want information that they may not have been able to get prior to their trip here. We think that's an important service, and it's gone really, really well. The ladies out there, Sandy Haynes, the manager, and several others do a wonderful job, and it's been a welcome addition, particularly for international visitors who don't speak English, and that's been a huge help to them, and we're happy to provide that service. We're hopeful that the airport expansion will move forward, and one possibility, and it's just a possibility right now, is to turn the existing terminal into a TSA training facility. And you know as well as I do, the only budget in the federal government that's not being cut is the Homeland Security budget. They're training thousands of TSA workers throughout the nation, and we'd like to be a training ground for that. And our current airport terminal is perfectly designed for that. It's small, it's self-contained, and it's relatively up to date. We think that's a good opportunity for the Grand Strand to bring people in through a federal training program, inject a little bit of money into the economy, but more importantly, put us on the radar of the federal government.
Absolutely. That'd be tremendous, Brad. What has to happen in the area for something like that to come together?
Well, the Homeland Security Department would have to, first of all, identify us as a potential site and then competitively compare us to other potential sites. We believe that we fare best in this particular region of the country for a variety of reasons, and we're hopeful that Congressman Hal Rogers, who now chairs that committee, will visit here in the near future and take a serious look at it. As you may be aware, Congressman Rogers was formerly here as chairman of the Transportation Committee. He's a great friend of the Grand Strand, and it just so happens he and his family will be taking a vacation here this summer, so we're hopeful that the Grand Strand will leave him with a lot of pleasant memories and the hope of possibly locating a TSA training facility.
That'd be tremendous, Brad. That would be tremendous. You know, it's so exciting when folks take the time to come down here to vacation to see so much of what's offered, but at the same time recognizing infrastructure needs as well as infrastructure opportunities. There is a heck of a lot of them.
I think the leaders at the local, state, and federal level recognize the importance of the Grand Strand as a cash cow, an economic generator, if you will, for the rest of the state. But the importance of investing back into this market is one that sometimes they have to see firsthand, and we're always happy to help that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Brad, I think it was a letter from the CEO to Chamber members. It must have been a couple of months ago when a keyword education was used, highlighting the need to continue to grow. When we think about infrastructure needs, oftentimes folks don't think about education, but that's high on the list, if not right up at the top. What are some of the ways the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce is getting active in education needs for the area?
Well, we think education and commerce are tied, certainly in South Carolina, because tourism helps fund schools, but more importantly, schools are preparing our future workforce and our future leaders. So we believe that there's a tie between commerce and education that we all have to honor and appreciate and work more together for, to help develop good education programs throughout the state and enable parts of this state to become excellent providers of education. The Chamber has adopted a couple of important legislative initiatives. One is the Science Center at Coastal Carolina University. Coastal Carolina does a phenomenal job at research and training, and we think that enabling them to have a full-scale science center will enable them to enhance the offerings they already provide and truly become a world-class institution in certain levels of science, certain fields that we think are critical, like coastal marine science. We also think the public schools not only need the right level of funding, but more importantly, enable them the flexibility to do the things that they need to do. And the Chamber has been actively involved in the early college program. Right. That is a program that will be tested here in Horry County, but potentially could be spread throughout the state. And essentially what it does is targets those students who have great potential, but aren't always meeting up to their potential in public schools, put them in an environment and a track where they can move forward quickly and eventually graduate from college, enabling them to get better jobs and have a more profitable career. We're also very proud to recently have unveiled a partnership between the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber and Myrtle Beach Middle School, doing what a lot of local businesses are doing, mentoring and tutoring. We've got some wonderful employees at the Chamber who are taking time out of their day to go meet with the students and help them on a one-to-one need. I wish we had more employees that we could offer, but for those who have been able to do it so far, we think there's a great partnership between the Chamber and the local schools, and that's as much as an example of what other businesses are doing as anything.
I'm so glad you mentioned employees of the Chamber, because there's so many folks within the main facility there on Oak Street. Folks think about, obviously, the welcome centers in Aner and North Myrtle Beach, surely down on the south end. There's a lot of thought that goes into running the chamber, and a heck of a lot of employees involved therein. When folks visit, let's say the main location, the Oak Street location, when folks visit, for our viewers in the PD or southeastern North Carolina, or even tourists visiting the area, but particularly for local chamber members, what's there that they may not see when they visit?
Sure. Well, the first thing, of course, you always see is the lobby. Each of our buildings are designed to receive visitors because each of them, in fact, serves as a visitor center. So when you walk in, it's designed that you'll see a person, hopefully a smiling, warm face that will assist you in whatever way you might be, whether you're a local resident, a visitor, maybe a business person needing assistance. If you go into the chamber, of course, the building on Oak Street was built about 10 years ago, largely built by local businesses who invested in the chamber and recognized the need to have a chamber in a prominent location, and we're very fortunate to have that location we have. And the upstairs part, that's the boring part. That's where I'm at. That's where we do all the boring stuff, and we count the money and make sure that the records are kept accordingly. A lot of the work we do is for local governments when we're investing their funds, and that's a particularly important task, and we make sure that we live up to their standards and certainly exceed their expectations. And so the administrative side of the chamber is a critical side that people don't think of and don't see, but it's every bit as important to make sure that we're honoring the traditions and the requirements of local and state government and ensuring that the dollars that are invested through us are invested wisely. Of course, the Convention Bureau is a part of the chamber that most people are not aware of. We have a team of salespeople led by Jean Ann Brakefield that travel throughout the country. Just about every week of the year, somebody's on the road at some trade show selling. It might be motor coach, it might be conventions, it might be associations, it could be religious groups. You name it, we're out there trying to sell it and partnering with other businesses and entities in the area to do so. And of course, the marketing department, we tell them they create the wow. They create thousands and thousands of ads in all kinds of media, TV, radio, newspaper, to essentially sell the area, to create interest in the area for people who might be coming here on their vacation. And the membership division is another segment that's been critical. That's the division that puts on a lot of educational forums and provides a lot of member services, things as far as counterfeiting alerts and retail specials, enabling us to market the area. Recently, we unveiled an anti-gas campaign, or gas price campaign. It was essentially a way to help consumers who might be feeling the pinch of higher fuel prices to get some additional discounts when they come into the area. And that was a great example of the membership staff looking at the needs of business, the needs of consumers, and addressing that accordingly. And then one we're very excited about is our festivals division. And of course, the Sun Fun Festival coming up, a lot of other areas of the community have other festivals that we help promote, and we've got a great duo in the festivals division, Holly McMillan and Stephen Green. They're doing a wonderful job at trying to turn our festivals into an economic generator. So each of the areas in the chamber are sort of self-contained. They have their own little mission, but all of it stems to promote, protect, and improve businesses, and we think that's critical for our future in this area.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you mentioned, and we talked a good bit yesterday about Sun Fun Festival, and obviously that's just a couple of weeks away, a lot of focus there, but I'm so glad you mentioned the promote, improve, say those three again.
Promote, protect, and improve business. That's really essentially the mission. We've got a big, long mission statement that sounds a lot fancier than that, but everything we do is promoting business, protecting businesses, and improving businesses. And if there's anything we're doing that doesn't fall into one of those three categories, we're probably not doing the right things.
You know, one of your counterparts or your peers there at the Conway Area Chamber of Commerce was with us on Monday, Bridget Johnson, which was a treat having her in. Part of the thrill there is she highlighted that y'all are getting together, the other chamber executives throughout the area. She said are meeting at the Oak Street location each month to get together, and she more or less said, y'all, I mean, the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber drives the train for all of us, but we're different in our own ways. A lot of excitement going on at the Conway Area Chamber, but it was particularly exciting to hear her talk about y'all working in tandem.
Bridget's an excellent leader, and Conway was very wise to select her. She's doing a wonderful job. I don't know if we drive the train. Sometimes when you're in front, you don't always know if people are following you or chasing you, but we try to do what we can to bring others together, and that's a great example of where each individual chamber does have its own needs, its own purpose, and sometimes their own specific goals, but we meet at least once a month, sometimes more often, to talk about what's going on together. Even the Aner and Loris chambers that are very small and have very limited resources do a wonderful job at addressing the needs of retailers and other businesses in their communities. And we've even started to branch into the South with Annette Fisher and the team at the Georgetown Chamber. We think that the chambers are only as strong as the network that they have and the network they bring, and for all of us to work together enables the business community along the Grand Strand to be better served. And when you check the egos at the door And don't worry about who gets credit. It's amazing what can get done.
Absolutely, Brad. That must be exciting to see. It's exciting to see those. It would be great to be a fly on the wall in those monthly get-togethers.
Yeah. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to share great ideas, best practices amongst ourselves, but also to keep each other alert as to what we're working on together. And as we address legislative issues and promote tourism, these are things that don't know city and county lines. So it's all the more critical for the area chambers to work together. And I think to a person, you found a team amongst the different chambers that is very willing and eager to work together to improve life, the quality of life, and the level of business for the entire Grand Strand. We're excited to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Brad, you know, we think about the Convention Bureau, and I'm so glad you mentioned Gina and Brakefield. There's a heck of a lot of group trade shows as well. A lot going on with group trade shows right now.
Gina and her team travel to over 35 group trade shows each year, as well as 35 consumer shows each year. They're out constantly selling not only domestically, but sometimes overseas, alerting people that might not otherwise know enough about the Grand Strand to come here. They do it sometimes with businesses, sometimes with the convention center, sometimes on their own. And oftentimes they have to drop everything they're doing and fly somewhere just to meet with clients who might be able to bring additional business here. Particularly important for this area as we grow as a group destination. Conventions, associations, meetings bring thousands of people here that might not otherwise have come here. And one new market they've begun to work on is a sports market, attracting sport events that have youth involved. You know, when mom and dad have to follow the children to an event, that has an economic impact associated with it as well. So we're excited about the prospects of growing into new markets, as well as going after those traditional markets that have served us very well in the past.
Brad, in late 2003, early 2004, when we found out the area would be hosting Travel South 2007, it sounded like a heck of a long way away. We're now rolling into the summer of 2005. We're just 2 years away from that. What's that all about, and what's the significance of that for our area?
Travel South is one of, if not the largest shows that brings industry professionals together, not just for education and networking, but for marketing opportunities. It is one of the single best opportunities we have to sell this area to people that haven't otherwise been here, but have the potential to help millions of others come. It's a great opportunity. We were very fortunate to get the opportunity to host it. And you're right, it's 2 years away, but the planning's already started and a lot yet to be done. We're excited to be a host and to help others become involved. And it will not only give us a chance to promote the Grand Strand, but to help the state, to sell the entire state of South Carolina to people that haven't been here before or haven't been in a number of years.
Brad, you know, one of the things, and I'm so glad we talked about education a minute ago, we talk about schools and obviously education. One of the key aspects, I think, when you all think about legislative agenda, the late school start dates. Have you all had some success there? And I think I saw a piece about that recently.
We have, and we recognize that opinions vary on this. To us, school starts is not simply about economics, although clearly study after study has shown that by schools starting earlier and earlier, it has hurt tourism and therefore hurt South Carolina and the Grand Strand. But more importantly, we think of it as a social issue. There's no good reason that a child needs to be in school on August 1st. There's schools in South Carolina right now that are actually wanting to start in July. And I can't imagine what would make somebody want to send a poor kid to July in school when it's so hot, and there's just no good reason for that. And every study we've seen has shown that kids that start on August 3rd aren't any smarter than kids that start on August 23rd. In fact, here in Horry County, we've had a tremendous level of success, and we start later than anybody else in the state, and yet our students are outperforming those not only throughout the state, but at a national level. So it's a common sense proposal, but unfortunately common sense isn't always common, and those who oppose it often note the issue of local control. We respect that. Studies have shown that 80% of parents and 70% of teachers prefer a later school start date. So we haven't quite got it done yet, but we're hopeful that in the next year we'll see a uniform later school start date. We don't want to tell them when they have to start school. We just like a reasonable window so kids aren't in school on August 1st.
Absolutely, Brad. You know, a heck of a lot. We've only got about 5 minutes, and I want to make sure we have an opportunity to highlight a lot going in, and such a big push for you. I think there was a 7-3 or a 3-7 push for I-73, and I want to make sure folks understand both the Chamber's position as well as how you all came up to that. What are some of the activities going on within the push for I-73 right now? This is a reality, is it not? I mean, where can viewers stand? And I mean, what are some of the things that viewers can do to be involved?
Sure. Well, I'm glad you asked. I-73 is a critical issue, not just for Horry County, but for South Carolina. Of course, it will travel through 4 counties in South Carolina, will bring thousands of jobs, and as we talked about earlier, it could help save lives in the event of a hurricane. I-73 is in debate right now in Congress. There's a transportation bill. It started debating this Monday, the 9th, and it will be debated going forward into the May and possibly June. That that bill holds potential funding for this interstate and hopefully a designation that says we as a nation believe I-73 is an important need, not just for South Carolina, but for all 6 states. So right now, as we speak, Congress is debating this, and we're hopeful that a bill will be passed soon that will provide the start of funding and a designation for I-73. Our state delegation's on board. The trick is getting other representatives of Congress involved. And of course, the importance of bringing I-73 here is critical. Right now, the process is underway to identify routes, and there's been a lot of studies and meetings conducted to identify where this road should or shouldn't go. And as far as the Chamber is concerned, we're not as concerned about the location. We just want to see it sooner rather than later. We've purposely avoided lobbying for one location over another. But we think that the important thing is to get that road here, put it in a place where it will have the least disruptive impact on the environment and people, and get it built. Some shake their heads and roll their eyes when they hear 10 years, but it's doable. And it's doable simply because what we definitely need is a connection to I-95. So if, in fact, the final route connects with with Highway 22, and that becomes I-73, then we think the opportunity to build approximately 43 miles of road over the next 10 years is very possible. It might take tolls, it might take some state funding, it's certainly going to require federal funding, but it's an investment into the Grand Strand that we deserve.
Absolutely. I73SC.com is a place that viewers could go online to learn more.
That's right, and sign up for email updates if they'd like to keep apprised of it. It has the potential to impact everybody watching this show right now. And we think it's a critical need for the area and one that we're certainly going to continue to push for.
It was such a tough transition for the area to think of anyone stepping in the the shoes of Ashby Ward, your predecessor, Brad. I know it's been a big transition for you. You'd been at the Chamber for a little while. You'd spent time with him. You knew some of his goals going forward as well as the board's goals, both past boards as well as actively right now. How has that transition been for you? And, of course, obviously, it's been very well received in the area. How long have you been at the helm now?
Well, of course, Mr. Ward passed away 2 years ago. It was April 2003, and it took them 6 months. I think they couldn't find anybody else that wanted to take it. And there was no white smoke coming out of the top of the building, but they did finally give me the nod in November of that year. So about a year and a half I've been at the helm. That could only happen for 2 reasons. One is we've got a wonderful team of people at the Chamber that are skilled and extremely talented at what they do, and frankly the opportunity to serve under him for almost 5 years and learn really from the hand of the master. Mr. Ward really redefined the role of the Chamber exec and built the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber into the organization it is today. So I don't think you ever fill those shoes, but certainly it's been an honor to follow in those footsteps. And as far as the transition goes, we've made some changes. We've refocused on and reprioritized. But at the end of the day, it's still about promoting, protecting, improving businesses, and working with people. And I think if there's one thing I learned from Ashby Ward, it's that promoting commerce and protecting businesses is a team sport. It doesn't get done by any one individual or any one organization. It's about bringing those together to create a critical mass that agree on needs and then working really hard on those objectives.
Look at one of these early quotes from you, Brad. I don't know where we'll end up, but it won't be where we started. Even if we fall, we'll fall forward. A critical quote not long after taking the helm there, and as you say, potentially a lot of change, using those words, re-energize, refocus, and be results-oriented. A heck of a lot going on.
I think there's a tendency sometimes to be afraid to make mistakes, and Lord knows I'm not afraid to make those. I've made more than my fair share, but we want to try some new things. We want to push the issues forward, and we're always open to new ideas. And even those who disagree, and I realize they might be out there, we welcome those differing opinions. We think that's the way that makes everybody stronger, is to bring people together, listen to the different viewpoints, and work together. We certainly are making a lot of changes, trying to move forward. Never feel like we can get enough done in any one day, but we think by working collaboratively with other chambers and organizations throughout the area, as well as local businesses, we're committed to making the Grand Strand an even better place to live, work, and play. That's the goal, and that's the objective, and that's what we're trying to do.
Brad, there's been a lot of collaborative work. You know, as you think over the last year and a half, can you think of anything collaboratively or individually, any accomplishment that you're probably most proud over the last year and a half?
There's certainly a lot of tangible results that we could look at in promoting tourism, trying to attract new jobs and new companies and be of service to the community has been important. But I would say probably the thing I'm most proudest of is the way the staff and the board have reacted to the many changes, enabling us to get beyond the minutia of what was done in the past and looking forward. I believe that Grand Strand has a great future, but we also have a lot of needs, and if we're afraid to address those needs and push those issues forward, we might never get to where we could be. So perhaps the greatest accomplishment is just being able to build the relationships and bring more people in together. You can look at numbers and dollars and ratios and all kinds of charts and graphs that will tell you that we're doing well, but at the most important stage of the Chamber's objectives and critical stages of what we do, I think it's whether or not we make a positive difference. And to the extent that we've been able to do that in the past year and a half, I'm very proud of that and the people that have been a part of it.
Absolutely. Brad, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Give us an hour yesterday and today.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Brad Dean coming up next. Think about that simple number, 843-626-7444, 626-7444. Give them a call. They want you to call. They want you to learn more about the Chamber, about activities going on in the area. Sun Fun Festival is kicking off 3 weeks. You got to take the time to make the call. You can go online at myrtlebeachinfo.com. Whether you want to learn about the Chamber, whether you want to plan a trip to the area, they'll feed you somewhere you need to go. Take the time, myrtlebeachinfo.com or 843-626-7444.